All right. So, you know how I've been saying for a while that the end goal of all of these anti-LGBT bills is eventually the total legislation of trans and queer people out of existence to make it essentially impossible for them to participate in society, and that everything they're doing up to that point is just a way of creating the necessary legal pretext and euphemisms to eventually legally justify that. Well, this is hot off the presses as of 2 days ago. Arkansas introduces new bill defining drag shows as an adult-oriented business under legal code. So we just talked, like literally last segment, we talked about how, in the eyes of Republican lawmakers, drag shows and porn shows are the same thing because, you know, that. But it gets worse than the title makes it sound. Okay, hold on. Arkansas lawmakers introduced a new bill Monday that classifies drag shows as an adult-oriented business under the state legal code, amending rules meant to keep minors away from such places. State Senate Bill 43, introduced by Republican State Senator Gary Stubblefield and Mary Bentley, aimed to classify a drag performance as an adult-oriented business and to add additional location restrictions to an adult-oriented business, according to the legislation's proposed language. Now listen for this. The bill seeks to amend the state legal code for an adult-oriented business to add a drag performance to the list, already including an adult arcade, adult bookstore, video store, adult cabaret, an adult live entertainment establishment, an adult motion picture theater, an adult theater, a massage establishment that offers adult services, an escort agency, or a nude model studio. So essentially, they want to add drag shows to a list that exclusively contains either pornography or sex work. Every single other item here has nudity. Adult arcades, bookstores, video stores, cabarets, live entertainment shows, motion picture theaters, massage parlors with adult services, and escort agencies are all explicitly nudity and sex. But it gets worse. According to the proposed legislation, a drag performance, quote, exhibits a gender identity that is different from the performer's gender assigned at birth, using clothing, makeup, or other accessories that are traditionally worn by members of and are meant to exaggerate the gender identity of the performer's opposite sex. Sings, lip syncs, dances, or otherwise performs before an audience of at least two persons for entertainment, whether performed for payment or not. This description includes trans people dancing in public. Explicitly, by their definitions here, this makes a trans person dancing in public or doing any kind of public performance which involves singing, lip syncing, dancing, or any kind of performance, an adult-oriented performance, meaning that it would have to be done exclusively in, enclosed environments, whatever restrictions they have for adult-oriented services and performances. Again, exhibits a gender identity that is different from the performer's gender assigned at birth. So explicitly it says here, it doesn't matter whether or not your current legally recognized gender is a woman. If you're a trans woman, it's contrasting against your assigned at birth gender. So it does not matter whether or not you have a legal designation as a woman if you're a trans woman. Using clothing, makeup, or other accessories traditionally worn by members of and are meant to exaggerate the gender identity of the performer's opposite sex. This literally just means if you're a trans woman wearing a dress and makeup. That's it. Anything here? Yeah. Oh yes, I suppose technically now you can't show Mulan in public because it is a musical, which therefore has a musical performance element, and you do have Mulan wearing exhibiting a gender identity other than that of her birth gender, wearing clothing meant to exaggerate, yada yada yada. Right. That's not a joke. According to the rules here, Mulan should be like like an NC-17 rated film. That's actually what they're doing here. That's not an exaggeration. That is explicitly Mrs. Doubtfire either. Yeah, also Mrs. Doubtfire, Hairspray. What about what's that one? The one with the white guy and Terry Crews? What's that one? Oh, we can't do Bugs Bunny. White Chicks, that's right. White Chicks is now, according to the the rules of this law, this right here is equivalent to your child seeing a gaped asshole on a porn DVD in an adult bookstore. Any historical representation of Joan of Arc. Oh, that's true. They look so funny. Well, it's not well done, Anyway. The bill would amend state code to say an adult-oriented business cannot be located on public property or where a minor can view what the adult-oriented business is otherwise offering to the public that qualifies it as an adult-oriented business. Cannot be located on public property. Was that an issue before? Okay. In 2021, Arkansas made headlines for passing the first ever kind of legislation in the nation, banning drug or surgical intervention on minor patients who identify as transgender. Yeah, okay. Anyway, you can go on through this. This is very unambiguously so you know how we keep using the term genocide here? One of the conditions of genocide that's generally accepted is an effort to legislate out of existence a group of people. And literally making it illegal to dance in public as a trans woman. And I do not consider that at all an exaggeration of this right here. You could have a community garden dance off in a small community in Arkansas where you have two cis people go up on stage. And as soon as a trans person goes up on stage to do just a little mom dance or whatever, it legally qualifies as adult entertainment. Yeah, or singing along, just any kind of singing. I've compiled a legislative tracker for anti-LGBTQ bills. As of today, there are at least 58 bills. 27 bills banning gender-affirming care, 15 banning trans people from sports, 6 bills banning drag. We'll update going forward, follow along. The anti-drag bills are the front wave here because this is about banning people's existence in public. The language that you use when banning any kind of drag performance can be used then as justification for any further attacks on gender non-conforming people of any kind, There are often ways you can speak at school boards or other state meetings to protest these bills, and people should do that. Oh, 100%. We'll see if this actually ends up passing here. Which is the bill, State Senate Bill 43, Arkansas. Hold on. Let's see. SB 43 bill information. Is there a time they plan on, no upcoming events for this bill. Okay, so it's only been proposed. We have no other information on it. Also, cops can interpret anything as dancing to arrest trans people. Yeah, do remember that cops, loitering as a crime was essentially invented to give cops the leeway and ability to arrest anyone they wanted. There is, with laws like this being put forward, assuming they become normalized in the red states, it will essentially be impossible to exist in public as a trans person. Or gender nonconforming, whatever, but broadly as a trans person. There will be no way to comfortably exist in public because you are at threat of sort of legal persecution at any time due to the extremely vague, all-encompassing rules that bind you. The Oklahoma bill is arguably the worst. Yeah, this one right here. Remember all those people who were saying it was just about trans children, Once you're 18, I don't give a hoot or a holler what you do, but it's it's the minors, And then, unsurprisingly, the people who say, oh yeah, it's just about the kids, then go ahead to, if it's 26, it'll be 36, and if it's 36, it'll be never. There is no justification. Guys, is there a single law in this country, a single one, that gatekeeps access to medical care, any kind of medical care, to the age of 26? Any? Is there any law at all? I can't think of one. There might be some arcane secret law. I have no idea what this would, what would insurance coverage. Yeah, but that's not the same as banning medical care. Vasectomies? I'm pretty sure you can get a vasectomy before you're 26. What does loitering mean? It means that you're black and you haven't moved off the sidewalks. Abortion? You can get abortions before you're 26. I don't think there is any law that bans any kind of medical service before 26. The bill would also forbid medical personnel from making referrals for patients seeking such care. Those in violation of the bill will be charged with a felony crime. So if you're 25 years old and you want to get on estrogen and you've been an adult now for 7 years and the doctor is like, hey, you could go out of state to get it actually because of our insane fucking law, they could get a felony crime. The bill also forbids other mechanism to promote the development or feminizing or masculinizing features. Any mechanism to promote any development of feminizing or masculinizing features? What about doing dumbbell curls? Wait, what? Any mechanism? Keep in mind, by the way, that here, I guarantee you, you can get your fake tits at 18. Like in the rest of the country, you can get a boob job at 18 unless they catch a whiff of you being trans, in which case, zero chance. Slowly, states are moving towards an outright ban on being transgender. Yup. It is for those reasons people have begun calling the attacks on gender affirming care an attempted genocide. I love being right all the time. I wish I was right on more cheery topics. All the people who are like, genocide? Where? What? Dude, they just like disagree with. Nah, you have to be extremely low IQ to not understand where all this leads or where it is currently. It's not even where it leads. I mean, literally, hey, you will be charged with a sex crime if you sing or dance in public as a trans person, because that is now legally defined as a adult-oriented performance. And also, you know, if you're cis, you can get your breast implants at 18, but if you're 26, you can't get a rec for a pill, or two people get slapped with a felony. In May, Governor Kevin Stitt signed a bill into law that requires schools to force students to use restrooms that correspond to the gender they were assigned to their birth certificates. Signed a bill that prevents a publicly funded hospital in the state from providing gender-affirming care to trans youth. Getting ready for a whole new round of bills in 2023. I know it's horrible and doesn't help much, but doesn't the Arkansas bill say the performance has to be prurient interest? How does that contradict what I said? Intended to appeal to the prurient interest. Is this in obscenity law a morbid, degrading, or excessive interest in sexual manners? Do you trust Republicans to like meet that standard? How many times have you seen Republicans post pictures of trans women or of drag queens completely clothed and say that it's a sexual activity? Anything involving obscenity law in the hands of Republicans when dealing with trans people or drag queens means anything they want. Literally anything. It's meaningless. It has no meaning at all to them. I agree if we were assuming everyone was acting in good faith, you know. But even then, like, imagine like a trans woman's dancing in public and she like twerks or whatever. Twerking in public is legal. It's a free country, you know, for now at least. But this would mean that they specifically, because they are trans and twerking is sexual, which, I mean, it is, you know. It would apply to Pride too. Yep. I don't even know how you would have a Pride event. Some trans people are preparing to flee the U.S. and seek asylum abroad. Yeah, you know, I have long said keep your passport updated. Wouldn't be a bad idea doing a little bit of research around the bent, other countries. You know, again, I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to go down, but I keep saying, you know, they're gunning for a trans genocide, and you know, I mean that when I say that, not joking. Moving to California is way easier than seeking asylum, Vaush. We're not going along with this fascist retardation anytime soon. Being in a blue state offers you a lot of protection, but not total protection. There are still plenty of things that can be done, say, if the entire federal government goes Republican. Good luck, Sabine Cannon. Anyway, you all get the point. Chud Logic still scoffs at your genocide take. Destiny thinks including cultural genocide is the problem. Yeah, and I said at the beginning of this whole bit that we were Xing the lower than 80 IQs, weren't we? It's all pretty straightforward. You can agree with me or you can be stupid. There's really not much leeway at this point. I feel like a more ambiguous case could have been made 2 years ago, but every like passing day brings more evidence from Republicans that the ultimate legal exclusion of trans people, and maybe broadly queer people in total, is their actual goal. That all of their rhetoric, all of their legislation, all the precedent they attempt to set, none of it makes sense at all. There's no consistency to it at all, unless it's ultimately just building a case for the social eradication of trans people. Which is what's happening right now. You know, none of this ever starts with people just saying, "Oh yeah, dude, let's do the Holocaust-erino." The Nazis didn't open by saying, "Yeah, dude, let's do the Holocaust-erino." That's why it was referred to as the final solution. There was a great rhetorical pantomime done by the Nazi government with this whole, "Oh well, we must do something. What else can we do?" Blah de blah. I don't think you would even need to end at death camps to legitimize the idea that all of this has been a genocidal project. I would say, like, even I think you could make a solid argument for genocidal intentions, even with those goddamn bathroom bills. You take a transgender woman who passes, which bathroom is she supposed to use in a state that that forces businesses to make trans people use the restroom associated with their birth sex, right? A trans woman can go in a men's restroom and be assaulted, or go in a woman's restroom and be arrested. These laws exist not actually to protect people in their bathrooms, but rather to exclude trans people from the public place. The real solution trans people adopt under those circumstances is to not use public restrooms at all. And an attempt to remove people from the public space is absolutely in line with genocidal intentions. The less publicly expressed and available they are, the more they're sheltered and sequestered, the higher their suicide rates get, and the more people at large become unfamiliar with them. The public exposure of queer people is something that Republicans are trying to legislate out of existence. They want any kind of queer rep to be like morally impermissible. They want them to be alien. They want them to be completely out of the public eye, at which point further actions against them, legal or illegal, in terms of harming them, are a lot easier to conceptualize and advocate for because, of course, you're talking about an abstract minority group who are all, evil pedophile groomers anyway, and rather than like an actual existing thriving member of or group part of society. Vaush isn't saying they'll be assaulted in men's rooms the same sort of logic they use for not allowing them in the women's room that they'll assault cis women. Nope. Because we do know that trans women get assaulted in men's rooms, and we don't have evidence that trans women assault cis women in women's restrooms. There's no relationship there. I don't like this argument about a trans woman in a men's restroom being assault bait. Seems to go against your other arguments about sexual assault being already illegal. Wait, what? No, nobody's going to fake being a woman to get into a woman's restroom to do a rape, so the crime part begins 8 seconds after entering the restroom. However, like, live in the real world for a second. Trans women, if they're in men's restrooms, are liable to get harassed. Like, women get harassed all the time, trans or cis. It's not going to happen every time. It's going to happen some of the times.